Hi everyone, and welcome to my review of Oliver Stone's Natural Born Killers in 1994. Now, this is an interesting film. I watched it tonight, and I did try and watch it, a few years ago, 2013, 2014, I think it was. I'd heard, it's got kind of more of a cult following than anything, but there are those that say it's a great film and, unique and everything. And of course, Tarantino is credited with the story of the film, and I think actually originally he wrote a script, and it wasn't, something happened there, and he kind of has kind of rejected the film since, and said he hates it and stuff, and it's nothing like his films. He's credited with the story only, so but it's Oliver Stone who directs, and Oliver Stone, Platoon, and Born on the 4th of July. I remember from what I saw them quite a few years ago now, being stunning films, especially Born on the 4th of July. Actually, was not a fan of Alexander. That was one of the most boring films I've ever seen, and I love epics, but I think that was a bit of a disaster actually. And yes, of course he wrote Scarface as well. He was the screenwriter on the 1983 Scarface. So yeah, I consider him, from what I've seen, quite a great director. But yes, as I said, I tried to watch it a few years ago, and I got as far as 5 minutes. That's how how much I hated it at the time. I just couldn't stand it. Had to put it off, and I don't really do it with films, especially not now. I just thought it was just dreadful, to be honest, especially the editing and just the way it just kept changing between black and white, and colour, and then like all red and all green and everything. I just thought it was disgraceful. Watched it tonight all the way through, and I hate this film. I've not changed my mind on it, and some of the things actually are worse than I thought they would be. The first sort of 5 minutes, are still among the worst parts of the film, but there's parts of the in the second half and stuff that rival that. So it's basically, Tarantino, I would guess it's basically inspired by Badlands, because he loves that so much. The story of this, and it's basically two lovers that go on a killing spree. And that's all I'm really going to say. The first half is them going on their spree and stuff, and just going around killing people. And, just, you see some flashbacks, weird flashbacks and everything to their home life. And the second half is mainly them, in prison and the escape and stuff. I won't ruin what happens. With an awful ending though as well, actually, disgraceful ending. I detest this film. There's moments that in the second half that I didn't really think bumped it up, but they kind of it was actually a bit amusing to see Robert Downey Jr., who's in this film, and Tommy Lee Jones give really, really over the top performances. And it was funny because of that. But if it was just some guy, and the amusement I got from that was basically because it's Iron Man, his stuff, and being in that role, and Tommy Lee Jones is, I've never seen a more over the top performance from him. Just he's usually great actually as well, Tommy Lee Jones. But it's Woody Harrelson and Juliette Lewis as the main two lovers of the film, two kind of lead actors, actresses, and Juliette Lewis is dreadful, I feel, in this film. I think she's just completely over the top and just very, very hammy, and just pathetic, really. The writing in this film is not great, and of course I don't really know who to credit with that. I don't know what actually came through from Tarantino, but I imagine if he had written, and directed this film, because of how much I love all the other Tarantino's, I haven't seen Death Proof, but all the other ones, I wouldn't be, ruling out this could be a great film. I cannot, say that it would, but I just don't know what, it's hard to kind of judge this film, based on what actually, how the script came through and stuff, and what really was intended and stuff like that. So, but yes, the script is not good, I don't feel, and one of the things I hate about this film is the lack of humanity. I think it's just a really just sick-inducing kind of film that it makes me feel sick, because you know, think of Badlands. There's so much humanity in it. It's such a beautiful film. You know, and you know they're not characters that you hate. You know, in that sense, they're very very layered characters. Martin Sheen, really, I'm on about because he's the one who kind of does the killing in that film. And just as well, a completely beautiful human kind of dreamlike film. This has just got this is just no humanity. I feel. You know, and there's people who praise it. That's fine. But I don't think this has got a soul really. Just it's way too just wholly evil in that sense. It just there's nothing where it kind of moved me at all. It just made me feel sick from how the killings happened. You know, just from start to finish though, the thing that just is quite kind of for me to kind of it's hard to believe how people would praise this so much. The editing in this film is some of the worst I've ever seen in my life. Actually, it is disgraceful. You know, it's shocking. As I've said, the black and white changes to color and stuff like that for no reason though. I don't get that. You know, and there's not much films that do that. You know, I would say really, film should stick to black and white or it should stick to color. It does work sometimes, you know, in films, but when it's like this, back and forward, randomly, I don't like it, and it's just poor taste, really. It's just for effect, you know, for show, and I don't think it added anything. And it was off-putting, and even worse is the actual camera angles. Just go like that with the camera, you know, just go any way you want, any direction, up, down, left, right, and you've got natural born killers, because there's no sense of timing, of rhythm to the shots, and the way that the camera moves. It's just all over the place. There's no... I don't believe that there's any thought put into that. You know, it's just random for the sake of it. And I can't, you know, it really annoyed me. It kind of made me feel dizzy at times. You know, it's just mental, the camera work in this film. The editing is nutty. You know, I do not understand what they were doing here. You know, it's just mental. It's a mental film that will make you go completely insane if you know, for me, I just... It was really, really just made me feel sick. The editing and stuff, you know, it's just like zooms and everything as well. It's just completely just disgraceful, gross out. And I didn't like the characters at all. You know, I only mildly enjoyed Robert Downey and Tommy Lee Jones because, you know, they were kind of wacky and it's them. You know, it's them guys doing that. But none of the characters were good in this film. I thought they were all awful. The two leads of the film are disgraceful characters that I felt nothing for. I hated. They're going around killing people, and just I didn't connect with any of this film whatsoever. I absolutely detest this film. I think it's awful, actually. You know, I was thinking maybe just before the end it could have been 20%, but I just thought back on the experience and also the actual ending just brought it down a bit, because you know the first half of the film is just so mental. The second half is a bit more normal, but really not too normal. But it becomes a bit more boring because they're in the prison and there's nothing really compelling. There's stretched out scenes of just pretty uninspired dialogue. And yeah, to wrap up, I just hate this film. I think the soundtrack has got some things to merit. And you know why it's the reason why it's not completely unwatchable is because of some of the things that happened in the second half. You know, a couple of moments of actual humour. You know, it is kind of funny. But I suppose that's because Robert Downey can kind of pull that off, that kind of stuff. And you know, I think maybe there was a couple of good bits where the lighting was quite impressive. But yeah, and yeah, there's just a couple of things here and there really that kind of. But some of the scenes in this film, stretched out sequences and stuff, were very, very unwatchable. I just couldn't actually. It was very hard to get through. It's just a film of sex and violence in the worst ways. You know, the way it's used. I hate films like this. You know, there's films that can do this so well. Tarantino's films. You know, I can't believe this is. You know, he does violence so well and it's stylized in a way that is just stunning. I love the violence in his films. In this, it's just pathetic, really, and it was just quite exploitive, actually. I hated, you know, the way that they killed people in this film. It was just lack of humanity and stuff. It was just pathetic, really. I don't really see the point in this film, personally. You know, that's my opinion. Fine if you like it. It's just a very pointless film for me. It's just a poor exercise in style over substance, for sure. Very, very experimental. Awful violence, use of violence. The editing is sick-inducing. It's poorly directed. It never really progresses. You know, there's some resemblance of a narrative at times, but it's very, very loose in a lot of the worst ways. And it feels like they're trying to give you like a drug effect, induced effect, which doesn't go down well with me in this film. It just doesn't achieve that. It just makes me feel sick. You know, it doesn't. It's not. You know, it's not artistic. I don't feel in that sense. And you know, it very yeah. I hate this film. You know, when I first saw it, I was shocked. Now that I've seen it all the way through, I'm kind of even more shocked. You know, there's so much crap stuff that happens. It's just it's banal. It's really really bad. This film, I think, it edges into that awful rating for me. I'd have to give it a 19%. I know there's people that will like this film, but for me, it's really, really disgraceful. Yeah, not a fan of this film at all. I just think, yeah, it's probably worse than Alexander. I don't imagine. But that that was a pretty bad film when I watched it. But this is just it's hard to believe it was Oliver Stone. You know, and Woody Harrelson wasn't bad in it, but Juliette Lewis was. There was so much bad stuff in this film: the performances, the writing, the editing, especially. You know, I hated the editing, and just the way that this film portrays violence is not good. And there's just so much mix of different effects in this film. You know, documentary style. Then you just got so many different things that just don't work together. You know, and there's not really a flow to the film. It's just a poor film, really really bad film. I think for the most part, it's very, very, very bad. Dreadful film. And yeah, I hate it. There we go. Natural Born Killers. Check it out to see what you think, because it's a very divisive film. But for me, it's a pile of shit. Thanks for watching.